Morning. Good morning. I'm convening the zoning hearing officer meeting for San Mateo County of February 17th. I am Joe Leclerc, the zoning hearing officer for San Mateo County Planning and Building Department. Deb, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag
of the United
of the United
States of
States of
America
America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic for
for
which
which
it
it stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
and for all. Thank you. So we will now provide an opportunity for oral communication from the public for any matter that is not on the agenda. Deb, can you please read the instructions for folks to make public comment and let me know whether anyone has raised their hands to give public comment?
For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please note that members of the public must wait for my prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand function. For example, you cannot raise your hand at the beginning of the meeting for an agenda item that is later in the meeting. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute and your account and inform you that you may begin speaking. Janet, do we have any raised hands?
We do not have any hands raised, no.
All right,
No.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda today, including the first item, which is a proposal by applicants Mark and Hilda Cowart, planning case number 2019-00435. It's located at Buena Vista Street in Moss Beach. It's a property that doesn't have an address yet because it's not there's no development there. It's consideration of certificate of compliance type B and a coastal development permit to legalize the existing 8,750 square foot parcel. And this project is appealable to the California Coastal Commission. The second, our planner is Sonal Agarwal on that project, Agarwal, excuse me. And then the second item on the consent agenda is a proposal by owner Nancy McGuire, and it's file number PLN 2017-00197 at El Dorado Avenue in El Granada. Also a consideration of a certificate of compliance type B and a coastal development permit to legalize an undeveloped 11,535 square foot parcel. Again, the project is appealable to the California Coastal Commission. And the third item on the consent agenda is a proposal by owner James F. Wickett, and the applicant is T-Mobile. Planning case number PLN 2009-00264, located at 15010 Skyline Boulevard in unincorporated county, and it's consider of a use permit renewal for the continued operation of the cellular facility. And so with that, I would like to ask whether anyone wishes to request a consent item be removed from the consent agenda and reviewed at a public hearing. Janet or Deb, do we have any hands raised or requests to so alter the consent agenda?
There are no hands raised, Joe.
Okay. Given that there are no requests, I announce that I'm approving these consent items pursuant to the findings and subject to the conditions of approval in the staff report. And I want to also mention that appeals of items approved on the consent agenda can be appealed to the Planning Commission within 10 working days. And in this case, it's March 4th because there's a holiday in between now and March 4th. And any application for an appeal must include a $616.35 appeal application fee. So with that, we'll move on to item number 4 on our regular agenda. This is a proposal by Edison Partners, 3355 Edison Partners, and Anthony and Johnny Zanette at the Synapse School, planning case number PLN 2014-00295. And it is located at 3375 Edison Way in North Fair Oaks, unincorporated county. It's a consideration of a use permit amendment and adoption of an addendum to a mitigated negative declaration to increase the maximum number of students enrolled at the existing Synapse school facility from 260 to 310. The use permit includes the request for an off-street parking exception to reduce the number of parking spaces required from 128 to 60. So with that, I'm going to request that Canella Kelly, our planner on this project, present the project for consideration.
Okay, let me just get my slides up. Okay, thank you, Joe. So as you said, this is a consideration of a use permit amendment for an existing school, the Synapse School, at 3375 Edison Way in North Fair Oaks. The applicant seeking an amendment to increase the maximum student capacity from 260 to 310 students. And the project also includes the request for off-street parking exception to reduce the number of required on-site parking spaces from 128 to 60. And the project also includes some minor interior changes to increase the existing classroom sizes. So here is a map of the school off Edison Way in North Fair Oaks. And you can see it's zoned M1 Edison NFO, surrounded by primarily residential R1 zoned development. Here is a kind of view from the street, the parking lot. And so the parking reduction from 128 to 60 spaces, I wanted to show this is a slide of the originally approved site plan. It shows the parking spaces. You can see they're kind of compartmentalized into different sections. There's a drop-off point here. And then there was just a parking lot here and here. And then between the buildings, there's quite a few parking spaces. And then there was to the right, there was a parking lot for staff. So this was what was originally approved. And this is the proposed layout for parking. You can see there's some parking spaces removed here to allow for turning radiuses of emergency vehicles, increase the traffic flow. There's 2 lanes here, so folks can drop off, go around parents, and then exit out to Edison Way. So it was designed to increase the flow of traffic on site. And then there's also the removal of some parking spaces between the buildings to allow for more outdoor play areas. So the applicant conducted a traffic study and to ensure that the project was complying with all of the conditions that were set in the originally approved use permit. So the school installed a refuge lane on Marsh Road, a little turn lane there, so that has already been taken care of. The shuttle program currently has 10 shuttles serving their students. So they have expanded their shuttle program. There were 2 traffic counts that were conducted for 2 years, 2018 and 2019, that shows that they were compliant with the traffic cap for the morning peak AM drop-off periods. There, the use permit also would, as part of the condition, increase the trip cap from 275 to 298, and that's just due to the increase in the amount of students to make sure that there is a feasible trip cap there that they can comply with. The traffic study also concluded that the level of service impacts at the key intersections affected by the project would be reduced to less than 4 seconds with the reduction in parking, increase in student capacity, with the mitigation measures that were actually included in as part of the use permit. So I just want to quickly go over the mitigation measures. Again, these are just traffic-related mitigation measures. There's some other ones, but the project is required to conduct biannual traffic counts as part of the use permit and use permit amendment. So all of these will be carried over to the current use permit. So if the school is out of compliance, they have 30 days to submit a transportation demand management program in consultation with their consultants, their traffic consultants, and then they'll have another 30 days to implement that program to try to bring the site into compliance. And compliance is not feasible, or they can't comply for some reason, a reduction in student capacity will be required, or there will be an additional hearing that will be required to get feedback from the public and determine what the appropriate mitigation measures or next steps would be. So the school is also required to have traffic monitors at peak drop-off and pickup times. This will consist of staff that can prevent backups and move traffic along to ensure that traffic doesn't spill out onto Edison. And the school will continue to expand their shuttle program. This is one of the conditions. And additionally, they'll stagger start time. So the preschool will start at 9:15, just to alleviate a rush in the morning. So the zoning regulations since 2019, the M1 NFO zone was updated. The requirements were updated, and they now allow schools in that zone with a use permit. And for the environmental review, the original initial study was adopted. Negative declaration was adopted in 2017 for the Synapse School. After reviewing the proposed amendment and traffic studies, staff has concluded that there will not be any substantial changes or significant mitigation measures. So staff has prepared an addendum to the adopted ISMND in accordance with CEQA guidelines. And that is something the ZHO will consider as well. So finally, our recommendations that the zoning hearing officer consider the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration and approve the use permit amendment by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval in attachment A. So that concludes my presentation. I believe the applicant would like to present some slides on the school. Is it Jim Egan? Good.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Kanoa. And Mr. Egan, if you would please ask for Janet's assistance in getting your slides up on the screen. You can go ahead and make up your presentation, and I'll hold my questions until that time.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Joe. Let me get my slides up here.
Great.
Okay. Okay, I think you can see them. Is that correct? Yeah. So yeah, thanks again for taking the time this morning. Thanks, Kanoa, for that report. So I wanted to share just a little bit of who we are and what we do. We shared this at the North Fair Oaks Community Council meeting as well. So we are a K-8 independent school. So we're a private school in design. There are about 1,600 independent schools around the country, right? Private schools. So why do we exist? We're here to educate, inspire, shape, and create positive change in the world and have kids and adults believe they can have a positive impact. How do we do this? Our school is founded on social and emotional learning. We were founded about 11 or 12 years ago. So we started with that base and then built academics and the teaching of innovation on top of it. A lot of schools these days are adding wellness programs and social and emotional learning first. We started with that. We believe that kids should feel safe as learners and understand who they are first, and then the learning can really take off from there. So our mission is to educate a community of change makers. That's what we're doing every day, trying to inspire people to think about positive change and how they can do that in small ways, and then hopefully down the road in big ways. And what we mean by change makers, there's lots of discussions around what is a change maker. So we define the term for our community that they impact the world in a positive way, in an authentic way, and that they need to be prepared, not only academically, but emotionally to do the work. And they have to be creative problem solvers. There's a lot of problems to solve these days out there. And that we really want our kids to understand it's not about being the next big thing, that the change is not defined by numbers or scale. You can make a positive impact every day, whether it's picking up a piece of trash on the sidewalk or holding the door for somebody even in the school. That's a positive change. And so our vision is to build an aspirational and inspirational model of teaching SEL, innovation, and leading edge academics. And we have learning outcomes. A lot of schools have report cards and grades that are numerical or based on the A, B, C, D, F scale. We don't have that. We actually are measuring kids on outcomes that are habits of mind, right? And so you see some of them here. We're assessing kids on communication, perspective. Are they following through? Are they taking risks? Are they advocating? So it's a new approach to how you assess kids. It's creative. And I think 6 key aspects of our culture that I've heard from families and heard from teachers and visitors is that we really do live our values. Values are what we value. Our teachers here have a lot more freedom than in many other schools, and therefore a lot more responsibility. They go hand in hand. Very relational school, very intentional in what we do, and that our behaviors and our attitudes really matter. And so our values, I'll move through these quickly. There are standards of conduct that we adhere to or aspire to every single day. We make and honor ambitious commitments as a school, to our neighbors, to each other. This is a big part of who we are, for sure. It's a shared mission, and we have to commit to co-create in all that we do. We start with giving the benefit of the doubt. This is a tough one for some of us, even for me. Sometimes I don't want to give the benefit of the doubt, but we really try that out each and every day and want our kids to understand that too, that let's start from a framework of like, hey, maybe that kid didn't mean to push you. What really happened there? Or, maybe that teacher really didn't mean to miss that meeting. What really happened there? So this is a key element of our school that is real differentiator, I think. We are a positive group. Like to laugh. We like to embrace joy. That's a big part of who we are. And I think all KH schools should be that way. They're fun places to work and to be. We take care of ourselves and each other too. We're very committed to each other and the health and well-being of those that are partnering with us, even here in the community of North Fair Oaks. And some other things that are unique to us. We have a relationship with Stanford University around a brainwave learning center. So we have staff here who have joint positions, both at Synapse and at Stanford. And we're looking at how the brain adapts and changes through the learning process. It's a unique partnership there. I don't know of any other schools that have something like this actually on site. We're excited about it. And we have a makerspace. A lot of schools have makerspace. Ours is probably one of the largest you'll find anywhere for a K-8 school. And some of us remember wood shop back in the day. It's basically a big wood shop with some modern tools. All of the kids are trained on drills, and every class is coming to build projects in this space. It's one of the things I think that the kids enjoy most about our school. And we just developed a learning center too. So we have a number of kids that have learning disabilities. And so we created a center to address their needs, particularly those with language-based learning disabilities. So dyslexic kids with dysgraphia too. So we're not looking to be a school that is searching for perfect kids. We're looking for families that really understand who we are. And we're looking to build a transitional kindergarten, a TK program for fives. This is a new initiative that is happening too. We're excited about this. A number of families have asked us if we could become more of a family school instead of having to drop off somewhere, the youngest sibling off somewhere. They were hoping we'd be able to do it here at Synapse as well. And so we're a private school with a public purpose. You heard me speak about our neighbors and our neighborhood. We've been so proud to be part of North Fair Oaks and be part of this community. And that is important to us as change makers. Some other things I wanted to point out, though we're a private school, we are working very hard to provide assistance to families as well. So as you can see, our financial aid awards have gone up exponentially. Next year, they go up again. I think I just was working on this budget. We're looking at $1.4 million in aid that we're giving out. So we're doing whatever we can to become an even more diverse and inclusive school. And then as Kanoa said, the basics of our project, we hope to increase our enrollment to 310 and add an early childhood education program and bring our parking in line with the documented demand as well. And so that is my presentation. I moved quick just because I know everyone's busy here. I don't know if Bob Bear is out there, if he wants to comment on parking as well, but I think he might be in the audience too.
There he is. I see him. Joe, do you want me to transfer him over? Or?
Yes, please. I would, and I will have some questions following that.
Okay. Let's give it a second. He should be over shortly. There you go. There he is.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to present in front of you. My name is Bob Bear. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the school. Been there for a number of years, started out as a parent, volunteered, and Jim convinced me to come on board, and I've been helping run the school and expand the school and run construction and stuff. What I really wanted to talk about was the parking, because I think that's one of the big exceptions that people get concerned about. And I think the key thing for you all to understand is our community is not going to see any difference in the parking structures, the way we've got everything laid out, really for the last 2 years. When COVID happened, we knew we had to get the kids outside if possible. We were very fortunate with the way the school is structured that we were able to create about 7 different outside classrooms. We had some spaces in the school. We could open up doors. We could keep windows open. We did a lot of things to keep good positive airflow. And to do that, we needed to make sure the kids were outside. So, like I said, the community's not going to see any parking changes. During COVID, we modified the parking areas so we could accommodate safe teaching outside, have safe kids outside. by the way, they really enjoyed it too, other than when it's a particularly hot day or a rainy day. I think the kids really like being outside, as you can imagine. It's a place to be. We've basically been operating for the last 2 years with 60 parking spots, and we've done it comfortably. You know, we actually had a outside traffic agency come in, Hexagon, do a study, and we never really exceeded in the low 50s in terms of the parking spaces. So we feel confident that the community's not going to see any difference. We're not going to affect the parking in the community, and we should be able to, make this work just like it's been working, like I said, for the last 2 years. And I think that's about it in terms of the parking. I'm sure you'll have a few questions, so I'll be glad to answer that. But basically, we feel comfortable with the amount of spaces we have.
Thank you, Mr. Bear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing us.
I have a few questions. First, Kanoa, I just wanted to circle back to the environmental analysis. And you mentioned that there would be a potential increase of 4 seconds of delay at the intersections of, I think it was 5th and Edison Way, and I'm drawing a blank on what the other intersection was, but I just wanted to ensure that those levels of delay have been shared with our Public Works Department, and that they had concluded that those were not going to be a problem.
Yeah, the traffic study was reviewed by Public Works, our traffic engineer, and yeah, they agreed with the assessment of the traffic study, and so that's been approved by our Public Works Department.
Very good, thank you. So for the representatives from the school, first I wanted to understand, you mentioned, Mr. Bear, that you've functioned the last couple of years with 60 parking spaces, and you also described students being outside, inside some. And I was just curious whether you functioned the entire COVID pandemic when school is in session, with the students on site, or was there a mix of virtual and on-site learning? You're muted.
Yep. All right. So in the beginning, we had a mix. I mean, in the absolute beginning, we went total remote. When the pandemic first hit, early March, nobody knew what was going on, so we went total remote. Very quickly, we were able to do a hybrid model where we split the school in half. And to keep the social distancing correctly, we had half the community come in the morning, they went home in the afternoon, the other half came in the afternoon. And if you were in school for the morning, then you did remote learning in the afternoon, and vice versa. So we did that for a number of months. And then we brought everybody back pretty much full time. Okay, again, with the outside classrooms and reconfiguring the parking lot and things like that, we were able to get the kids in and keep them safely in school. And we're very fortunate in terms of the things we could do with our airflow and our air conditioning and our air cleaning. We put a bunch of air cleaning systems in, so even inside the classrooms, the kids were safe. And then we, as Jim had mentioned earlier, we had a relationship with Stanford, so we did a testing program for the first year of the pandemic, where we tested everybody, school, everybody, students, staff, and the kids the whole time. We did it once a week with a PCR test to keep everybody safe.
And you went to full enrollment on site at the same time when?
So I think we did full enrollment in the fall. Jim, you can jump, but I think it was like about October.
Yeah, the spring when the pandemic first hit, all the schools were asked to shut, and then we were one of the first schools, I think, in I'm certainly San Mateo County, to open in hybrid. And I think sometime after the holidays when we brought everyone back. So we had to be careful before and figure out how to operate in this unprecedented environment.
So you've been operating that way for approximately a year.
Yeah, a little over
a year.
That's right.
Great, thank you. And I'm wondering if, Kanoa, we can get the site plan back up on the screen, and I would like to have you explain to me how the site plan that shows the middle school and preschool flow arrows in the parking lot. And I would like for you to explain to me how the morning and evening traffic flow works, and where the monitors are located, and what their roles are on the project site. I don't know, that's not the one. I don't think there was a different one that had the arrows showing the flow of, and maybe that is the one to use. I don't know, but I guess that there's not a proposed that shows
This is the right one to use. We should
Okay.
use this one.
Fantastic. So yeah, if you could please just describe for us the traffic operations in the morning and in the afternoon when people arrive and depart, and also where the on-site staff parks, and what's available for visitors. And by visitors, I mean including folks who may be dropping off.
Okay. Jim, do you want me to do this one?
I'm muted. Yeah, you can do that, Bob.
Yeah, so I'll start, and Jim, if you have comments, obviously jump in. So I don't have control of the screen, but you see the big loop in front of building 2?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the parents, everybody comes in the main entrance here, which would be the far entrance to the right. They loop through, and we redid this particular part of the parking lot with double lanes, so we can get the parents to come in. They come all the way as far to the front as they can get. Kids get out, and then they walk through building. We actually just recently changed. They walk through building 1. They get behind what we call the secure area of the school, which is in the buildings and the fences, and then they can go off to their classrooms.
Excuse me, I have a question related to that. So
Okay.
I see there's a chicane in the street right in front of this driveway, which I think means, I'm not sure, but I think it means that people cannot turn left off Edison Way into that drive aisle, which means they must come from the right.
So you actually can make that left-hand turn. We do not allow the parents to do a left-hand turn, whether it's pickup or drop off, if they can't go directly into the parking lot. So if you're one of the first parents that gets there and you're coming and you have to make the left-hand turn, you can do it. Once we start the pickup or drop off process, we have our monitors, and there's a number of people out. We usually have a couple people out in Edison Way itself, kind of walking along where the parked cars are. Then we have probably about 6 different teachers positioned throughout the drop-off area. And again, we don't allow a left-hand turn if it's going to back up traffic at all. So we say no left-hand turns, and again, that you can get right into the parking lot.
Because it looks like the only safe way to make a left-hand turn is prior to that into the parking lot. So because you have I see an in arrow and an out arrow in the middle.
Yep.
And I presume that in arrow is the only safe place where you can make a left-hand turn into the parking lot.
Actually, the chicane is not represented correctly on this drawing. It's so looking at this drawing, it's slightly back to the left, because you can definitely make a direct left-hand lane into the parking lot. There it is. Good. See how it is right there? Thanks, Kanoa. So see where it says drop off here?
I do.
That's actually where the chicane is, so you can go right into the parking lot.
Okay. And so do you block off the other entrance to manage the flow, or do you allow?
We don't, because we actually allow parents to go out that way if need be. So we've done a pretty good job, and Jim can comment on this too, of basically training our parents on what's acceptable and what's not. We do a lot of different communication. Jim does a weekly town hall, but we've really done a good job educating the parents on what they can and cannot do. Now, as you can imagine, it's not just the parents, but it's the nannies, it's whoever's picking up, that we have to educate a larger community.
Well, Bob, let me interject, because we do block off you can only go in one way, and that's by that chicane. The second entrance, as you can see next to it in the diagram, that is actually blocked. You can exit through two exits. So there's if you follow the colored in area closer to building 1, that's where most people are exiting. But if I recognize there's any backup, I will pull cars through the sort of secondary exit, which is the one more in front of that one there and more in fronting building number 2. That's just sort of like a overflow valve if we need to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Good point,
that makes sense. I mean, and I was actually focusing on the as far as entering, I was looking at the one that's to the north or west of this main, where you're widening the entry to accommodate fire trucks and so on. I wasn't looking at the one on the right, but I see that actually could function, as you mentioned, a kind of a stacking lane for folks to occupy in the event that too many people show up at once.
That's right. And there's and Joe, there are a lot of schools have, there's different ways to do it, but we have a broader window of arrival times, and then we stagger departure times. So in the morning, it's an 8:15 to 8:45 window that parents arrive in. So that absolutely is necessary for us. And then in the afternoons, the lower school kids, the windows from 3 to 3:20, and then the middle school kid, it's 3:20 to 3:45.
Mm-hmm. And finally, what I'd like to know is what kind of engagement have you had with the neighborhood? We did have one comment letter that we received from a neighbor who complained about difficulty with folks parking on the street, with sort of chaotic, drop-off situations, as well as people running over plants. So I just wondered how you've engaged with the neighborhood and any response you might have to the comments that we've received so far.
Yeah, thanks for letting me comment. We have really, I think, done a nice job over my tenure. I'm going into my 10th year to be great neighbors and to engage with the neighborhood. At the North Fair Oaks Council meeting, we had a number of representatives from the community. I didn't invite them today. I didn't want to take them away from their work, and so I hope you had an opportunity to perhaps even read the minutes. We had a lot of support from the neighborhood, and I've reached out to those folks who've written to us, and I'm keen on being that great neighbor. So the comments around parking, our staff parking on the streets, they're not our cars. We have a number of employees who live in the neighborhood. So they can park at their homes like that. I can't legislate that, but so some of the comments, I'm not sure they're accurate, but I've tried to reach out to the individuals and actually did make contact with a few of them who wrote in letters to say, hey, this is the situation, come on down. How can we make you feel better about the situation? But we work closely with the neighborhood. Before the pandemic, North Fair Oaks had a number of their community meetings at our school. We host fundraisers for North Fair Oaks community at our school. So we hope to get back to that when it's safe to do so.
Thank you. And I appreciate you bringing up the staff. One of my questions was, where does the staff park?
Right. So the staff park in that main parking lot. We have about 52 staff. A number of them are carpooling. A number of them are walking. I myself am riding a bicycle every day. And so we have ample parking for that staff. I did a survey recently to make sure I have the numbers correct. There are about 40, I would say, any given day cars that are coming in. I know you asked about visitors as well. So there are visitor parking spots right by the front of building number 3 as well.
Great, thanks very much. Well, those are my questions. What I'd like to do now is open the public hearing and have Janeth and Deb call on any raised hands in order and provide instruction for those who want to provide public comment on how to do that.
Deb, you want to go ahead and do that? So we're on now. Yeah, we're opening.
Do we have a?
And I don't
Yeah.
think we have any items. Well, actually we do. We have one hand raised from Joanne Mole. So Joanne, please accept our request. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. So my name's Joanne, and I'm in the unique position to be a neighbor in the neighborhood, North Fair Oaks on 7th Avenue, Menlo Park, for 32 years, raised my 2 kids here, and also to be an employee of Synapse School for the last 6 years. So I just want to say, as a neighbor, the school has improved the community. I remember when we first moved here, the buildings were not very good shape. There was a shop that was like a body chop shop. So it wasn't a great street to walk on in the afternoon with your dogs, your kids. I feel like Synapse has done a great job of improving the look of the neighborhood. Also, I have to say that as an employee, I see the community outreach that we do, which is really great. And also, I'm part of the staff that is out there in the morning and in the afternoon helping to direct traffic. So I see that firsthand. It's not an issue as a neighbor. It's not an issue as an employee from what I see. And ironically, several of our neighbors who have sold their homes has listed Synapse School in their brochures as a reason to own a home in the Fair Oaks neighborhood, to have access to a great independent school. So I find that really very interesting and uplifting, because I love this neighborhood and I would like to stay here as long as possible, and to help the school thrive as well. So thank you for considering, and I hope that you will go ahead and approve our CUP. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Mull. Do we have other hands raised?
We have one more, Joe. We have May Dong. Please accept the invitation. Unmute your microphone and begin speaking, please.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to speak as a family that moved into the neighborhood because of Synapse School. When my first son started at Synapse, we were living in Redwood Shores and we're commuting an hour each day. And because we loved the school so much and the ways that the school was changing our child and changing our entire family, we decided to move into the neighborhood and have been here for 7 years as a neighbor and at Synapse for 10 years. And my first son has graduated and is now in high school, and my younger one is in 7th grade, and he rides to school on his bike every day. And I also work at the school, so I walk to school on a daily basis. And it's just been transformational for our family to be a part of this community. And so as part of the Synapse staff, I have also had the opportunity to work closely with our parent community and to organize ways that we can give back to the community, such as the North Fair Oaks annual cleanup. As Jim mentioned, we have opened our facilities up to organizations like the Multicultural Institute to have their holiday dinner there and events there. And then I've also helped to organize with the North Fair Oaks Community Center to put together homeless kits for our neighbors who need those. Prior to COVID, we were able to put these kits together, have the kids do an assembly and learn more about the neighbors, and then deliver these to the North Fair Oaks Community Center. So to our family, it has been such a critical part of our lives here to be able to be a neighbor, have a school that really is part of the community and is interested in giving back. So I just wanted to share that, and hope you see it fit to approve the use permit amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duong. Janet, do we have other hands raised?
Do we have one more from Mary Hinson? Please accept the invitation, unmute your microphone and begin speaking, please.
Um,
Go ahead, we can hear you.
okay. I didn't know that I accepted that properly. So I am a neighbor that's lived in the neighborhood on 9th for 18 years. And I believe that was before the school came to the neighborhood. And I just wanted to say that, number one, I have met a lot of new families and young families that have moved into the area for schools. One, Synapse, and two, a while ago, German school was about to try to leave some space. And I know a number of families moved specifically to the neighborhood because it's a great neighborhood for families and great to have schools nearby. I have been a neighbor that's benefited from the community good that Synapse has brought forth, including, and I keep mentioning this, community gardens that were put up around the neighborhood in the past, which were really fun. I actually got to eat some of the organic lettuce that the kids planted, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I believe that the school has a commitment to improve the vast community in the Fair Oaks neighborhood. One of the things that I do is I walk regularly to my place of business. And obviously during COVID, seen a lot of people walking the neighborhoods. And as much as the traffic is a little tense during 2 times a day, very rarely have I seen much of a backup in the mornings because of the staggered starts. In the afternoons, I have seen a little bit of a backup going down Fair Oaks. There are literally 10, 20 faculty members standing around to guide everybody through the neighborhood. And truly what it does for me is it slows the cars down going down Fair Oaks so that I'm not getting hit by a UPS truck that's trying to maneuver themselves in and around those traffic islands or other cars that are trying to go as fast as possible down that street. So for me, it's worth putting up with about a 15-minute slowdown in the afternoon to get cars to pay attention. And the last thing I want to do is consider the alternative. What could be there if it weren't for Synapse? I mean, the Synapse school is only in session during part of the year. We could have some kind of industrial, long-term business there that brings in, even more traffic, big trucks, all sorts of other business type commercial traffic that could even actually detract from the neighborhood. So I am thrilled that Synapse is there, and I have no problem with them increasing their enrollment. So I'm hoping that this will pass. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hinson. Next speaker, if we have one.
Hey, Joe,
hands?
I don't have any other hands up for this item, so I think we're good.
Okay, just want to make sure that everyone who had an interest in speaking had a chance before I close the public hearing. Is there going once, going twice?
Speak now, right?
Okay, I'm good. Yes, speak now or forever hold your peace. So I'm going to close the public hearing.
Okay.
And I just want to reinforce the importance of the neighbor relations, in particular the maintenance of or the operations of the traffic. I live in a neighborhood that has a neighborhood school, and it's got about a similar enrollment size to Synapse, around 300 students. They have 50 on-site parking spaces, and recently absorbed students from around the area because of school closures. So closure of Fair Oaks and other schools resulted in an increase in enrollment in our school. And although it is chaotic sometimes trying to pass by the school during the morning rush or afternoon rush, it works. We're able to function. Some parents actually will park some some distance from the school and walk their children back to the school to get there, just to avoid the scrum in the parking lot. But so I think that, you know, there is a precedent or an example for a school with a similar enrollment size and a similar amount of parking that works. But I just want to emphasize, you know, the importance of the special conditions that require the reporting and adherence to these traffic management measures, because they're critical for the school being a good neighbor in the area. And so I want to ask the applicant whether they have read and understand the findings and conditions of approval and agree with the conditions of approval in the staff report.
Yeah, Joe, I've read them and completely agree with your sentiments and those conditions.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to approve this project as proposed pursuant to the findings, including the findings regarding environmental review and the addendum to the initial study and mitigated negative declaration, and subject to the conditions of approval in the staff report. If anyone wishes to appeal this approval, they must do so within 10 working days, which in this case is March the 4th. And the appeal application must include a $616.35 appeal fee. And with that, I don't think we have any other items on the agenda. So unless anyone else would like to, if the applicant would like to respond or comment on any of that, we're poised to adjourn the meeting.
I don't have any other comments. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for today and for your work.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Summer and Kanoa, for excellent staff work, and thanks everyone. We will we'll adjourn this meeting now.
Thank
Sounds good.
you. Thank you, Janice.
Nice to see you,
Thanks,
Joe.
everybody.
Joe.
Bye.
Bye.